It's radio guy Mike Prince, and welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are all at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, and our website, obnradio.com. We have joining us on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union hotline today, head football coach of the Rosehill Christian Eagles. We affectionately call them the Angry Birds. None other than Coach Dennis Krantz. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Michael. I'm doing pretty well.
Well, I pray that everybody is safe out of harm's way with this virus that has wreaked havoc throughout the world, and all are looking good in the world of tomball thus far, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's been a lot. I mean, things have been a lot different, not having an off season and things like that. So it certainly has been a lot different as far as preparation is concerned. And then, sitting on the pins and needles as whether you're going to play football or not.
Right,
it's been going on too. So far, so good.
Yes, sir. Now, TAPS, which is the private high school division, has said so far so good, all systems are go. And you just alluded to how challenging it has been in the off season. What's the mental psyche like for not only your student athletes, but the coaches, staff, and parents with everything that's been going on?
Considering, different from UIL, we actually got to play our basketball tournament. So I know that UIL basketball even got their basketball championships got canceled last year. We were lucky enough, fortunate enough that ours got in prior to everything being shut down via the government and all of that stuff. So once that was let go, I mean, basically you don't even see your players at all. I mean, we didn't see them until the summertime. So it was a lot different when everybody is coming back because typically we're moving in from off season to spring football, into the summer preparation, and then it's routine really at that point. And having this whole thing has really altered all of that. But I'll tell you, as far as attitude is concerned, the guys are ready because I have the biggest football team I've had ever in Rosehill history. With the numbers that we have that have come out this year. And I think that's just a testament to the athletes ready to play, ready to play something. So I've got baseball players, basketball players. I got, a lot of people who wouldn't normally come out for football, who come out for football because that's the sport. That's the first sport that possibly could be played this year. So that was definitely refreshing.
Very good. And winning also has a lot to do with that too, Coach. When you have a successful program, people want to be associated with a winner, and winning is what they say is contagious. And so with that, you're seeing the number increase. And with that, as you get tougher and tougher with your squad, you can no longer hide under that radar, huh?
Yeah, that's something that's happened this year, building our schedule. It kind of goes both ways. Sometimes, like you said, if you've had some success, a lot of teams are a little bit shy to play you. So that could create some problems trying to build a schedule. But I think in this particular year, we've been really fortunate that we've got a pretty solid schedule coming up this year. Against some really, really high quality teams. And I'm pretty thankful for it, to be honest. We're all sitting here right now wondering how much football is actually going to be played. So, the stronger your season is, at least, at least the guys get to take home with them. We're going to play the best, the best that's out there. So, and I think that's an exciting thing moving forward too. Something that's a little different than maybe you would schedule in the past because we're not playing a 10-game season. It's an 8-week season, so we have 7 games with a bye week. So a little bit different, scheduling wise, you definitely want to play, like in my mind, I wanted to play a little bit harder, a lot harder of a schedule, to prepare, especially being short, a shortened season like this. So, it's just about that, I think. that's the key, I think, for a lot of schools is to really hammer down a really good schedule moving forward. Because I mean, nobody knows. You know, when you play 5 games, your season might be over.
Right.
So you know, you want that to be some. You know, if you want to build quality, you got to play quality opponents. So,
Coach, can you break down your schedule for us real quickly?
hey, I sure can. So, TAPS, as you know, it goes through realignment just like UIL every 2 years. So our district was realigned, and now we're a Division 4 team in TAPS. TAPS is split into 4 divisions.
Well, yes.
With Division 1 obviously being the bigger schools, your 5A and your big 5A and your 6A schools, and then you know down from there 4 and 3 and 2 and so on. But this year, TAPS has done again. They've done it a couple years ago. The last realignment, they mixed the Division 3 and Division 4 schools in the district. So you have districts with big schools and small schools in them, and you play each other. I mean, you play the whole, you know, whatever your district schedule is. And so that's happened again. So we have teams like Cypress Christian, which is a bigger school than us in our district, Northland Christian, which is also in our district, and then we have some familiars like Brazos Christian and Magnolia Legacy in our district. So, I mean, it's really competitive. Our district is I mean, it's built. It's got some really super solid teams in it. And then, of course, the challenge was originally to create your normal 4 to 5 game preseason schedule, which we did, you know, and then TAPS came out and because of COVID-19 and such, limited us to 6 games, to 6 weeks schedule cycle, which basically would have been a 1 non-district game, and then the rest would have been a district schedule for us. And then a couple days later, after UIL made their ruling for the 5A and 6A schools, and then the 1A through 4A schools, TAPS kind of changed up their thing and expanded our season to an 8 game. So our first couple games of the season, we start the year off with scrimmaging Hallettsville, Sacred Heart, which was the runner-up last year to the state champion. And we start September 25th on Friday night, 7:30, at our home against Shiner, St. Paul, who is the reigning state champion for our division. And it doesn't get easier from there because next week at home, fortunately, we play Bay Area, which Bay Area is a division above us as far as that, and they are picked to win that particular division. They're picked to win their district and that division. So we've got, you know, some pretty solid competition right there at the front. And then our third week of the season is homecoming, which is kind of strange, but when you have to sneak it in, and that's our Tomball Cup against that Tomball homeschool squad. So, you know, battle of Tomball, which is kind of fun. So we were able to do a lot of that stuff this year, which is why, you know, and plus, I mean, I know everybody across the state is itching to play football. You know, all these high school guys are itching to play, but especially your seniors. You know, those guys have put in the work for several years. Now they finally arrive, you know, to their senior year, the thing they've been looking forward to their whole high school career as far as football is concerned. Now they finally got there. I just pray that they get to play, you know. No matter, I mean, I'd love it to be the full season and playoffs, but just to get to play, I think, you know, is asking a lot these days. And so
no
I'm just
doubt.
going to keep it at that. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with that schedule that you have, and I know that TAPS went from 6 to 8, are there any contingency plans in the event you would have to abort the season, or are they just going to kind of keep eyes, toes, and fingers crossed and pray that you make it through?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, really, you know, I mean, you know, we practice with our football teams. I'm sure, you know, everybody's along the lines. I mean, of course, in a perfect world, you know, we might not have the school part, which would have kept the guys separated, you know, just to play football. It probably would have been an easier task. To be honest with you, I'm just keeping my fingers and toes, everything crossed to play, because I think I'm afraid if things get moved around and we have to reschedule things again, it's so hard. It really is. And nobody's fault. It really isn't. I mean, it's the virus's fault if you want to cast the blame on something. And that's what stinks. But, the bottom line is everybody suffers, in some way, shape, or form. The people who are sick suffer, and then, of course, it's difficult because a lot of schools around the country haven't even started school face-to-face.
Right.
We've been fortunate that we're in our second week now of face-to-face instruction. And I want to tell you something, Michael, that looks a lot different. School is kind of scary looking now. Everybody wears a mask. So.
Right. What was the Invasion of the Body Snatchers or some sort of horror movie type deal going on? And that you bring that up, and I know that the buzzword throughout the nation has been testing. What type of protocol are set not only by TAPS but Rosehill Christian School for testing policies and procedures as far as your student athlete and your student body is concerned? Because we're talking about a lot of smaller schools, but it's the same concerns, just a little bit different platform.
Well, and this would be hard for a larger school, but like our smaller school, like being a smaller school, we were pretty fortunate in the sense that we were able to, something that we did, which I think is really smart, which I would certainly advise other schools to try and try to be able to do this, was that we divided all of our grades up into cohort groups, basically. And instead of the kids changing classes, it's the teachers that actually change classes, not the kids. So that reduced, and so none of them really have been assigned a locker or any of those things yet. We're really trying to keep the kids. So, like, to give you a good, for example, we have 3 classrooms in the top of one of our gyms. And those 3 classrooms, that's where the sophomores are. So all of the sophomores in our school occupy those classrooms above the gym. And we're kind of playing with their schedules a little bit to where we can accommodate them as teachers. So if they have chemistry or something like that, the chemistry teacher goes up there and teaches that group of sophomores that class, and the next group, and so on. It's kind of how it works. So as teachers, we definitely do a lot of extra stuff. I'm not going to lie about that. It's a lot more difficult, But in the end, we're getting to teach these kids face to face, and for the kids themselves, that social interaction is so critical. So I mean, school it's been kind of a blessing in that sense because you're getting everybody together. And yeah, it's dangerous, but at the same time, the strategy that we had was if one ninth grade kid gets it, instead of having to shut down the whole ninth grade, you would really only have to shut down that particular classroom that child was in. You see, so it's in effect a way that you could keep most of your school open, even if you have cases that are positive. Because if we tried to do it just school as normal, with everybody showing up and going and switching classes and everybody being mixed up in different classes like art, something like that, where you have multiple grade levels in the same class, and if somebody were to get sick, you're almost forced to shut down everything.
Right.
So we didn't really want to be in that position. And over the course of the summer, Michael, I've had some kids that did end up testing positive for corona. And what we do is we take the regulations are we take the temperature when they come to school. They have to fill out their parents have to fill out a little questionnaire that deals with the symptoms of the coronavirus.
Right.
And as long as they don't have a temperature or anything like that, or they don't feel ill, then we let them in. But we practice. We have their desks, so 6 feet apart. They don't eat lunch together. They basically eat lunch in the classrooms. I'm not going to say it's a lot of fun for the students, but at the same time, it's probably the safest way that we could think of for them to be able to go to school. So, and that was what was most important, is the safety of these kids.
Right, exactly. Now, how many total students are at Rosehill Christian, Coach?
We have about 450 students K through 12. So we're not a huge school because we are K through 12, but with it's still managing almost 500 people. And so, like I said, it's difficult on the one sense because your normal offerings, your normal course offerings are a little bit different right now because of the fact that we don't want to mix grade levels, and that goes all the way down through elementary. all of those grades are separate, and we keep them separate. We don't mix them all together at all, just in case.
Right. Understood.
At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact on our local and regional high school and college student athletic coverage. We provide talk shows, live game coverage, and much, much more. But we need your support to move forward. Visit our website today at obnradio.com. Click on the PayPal button, which is safe and secure, and become a listening partner today. At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact. 17 cents a day comes out to $60 a year. Will you become part of the Open Mic Broadcast Network team? Visit that website at obnradio.com and become a listening partner today. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
We're talking right now with Dennis Krantz, head football coach of the Rosehill Christian Eagles, part of our coverage here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And let me check the lines. We still have the okay to keep things going if everything kicks off on time this season too, right, Coach?
Oh, yes, sir. Almost definitely.
Look, just wanted to check the line. I'm losing track. I'm getting older, Coach. So I can't remember how many years we've been, partnering with you guys. But Clay Nicholson did a heck of a job last year. He actually has a son on the team. And when it comes to the practicing parts of things, how are you guys able to conduct practice? Is it still business as usual? And how are you conducting and dealing with the social distancing when it comes to tackling someone in football?
Well, to be honest with you, Michael, that's kind of difficult because you're kind of looking at, football is probably the least social distance sport that you could probably play. In baseball, the only interaction you get is with the batter and the umpire or something like that, or when you're on the bench waiting to go out there and bat. But you could space people apart and stuff like that. But in football, you're already infringing on that 6-foot distance when you get into a huddle. So, it's like one of those things, I think, that the working out stages and the wearing the mask in the weight room and wearing the mask out in practice, giving you the best option, like giving you the best protection that, that we know of, at least to this point. But football's a contact sport, and you really can't, there's nothing that you can do really to avoid that aspect of it. So it's really just a matter of hygiene, for your kids. It's also a matter of the fact of, your team itself certainly is going to be around each other enough that if COVID came out in your team, it's going to shut your team down, just like it does for any of these pro teams the same way. I don't think there's any way that you could avoid that. I'm saying as if that happened, I don't think there's another way that you can manipulate the practice and still be as effective. I guess you would have to keep separate groups or something. I don't know if you could do that and still be able to teach the game of football the way it is meant to be done.
Right.
I think everybody is going to struggle with that. It's kind of like one of those things where, I guess you got to pick your poison. It's kind of like, I'm either going to concentrate on football or you're going to concentrate on COVID and worry about that. So not to say that we're not worried about it, because we are, but at the same time, I'm more worried about getting these kids ready to play their season.
And with that being said, I can envision a lot more pass routes being run.
Oh, yeah.
You
got that right.
Yes, sir. And the timing patterns and things working out. Now, let me ask you this, Coach, and I know it's just throwing something out there. In the springtime, there's 7-on-7, and in most cases that end up being more like flag football. Have there ever been any conversations of potentially shifting, at least for this 2020 campaign, to a flag football approach versus in the physical contact that's customarily associated with football?
The strange thing about that is, most of the 7-on-7 tournaments and things like that this summer were canceled, because of this. And now I've heard some conversations about that. I've heard conversations about, a virtual type deal. I have no idea what in the world they're talking about there. Playing virtual. I don't know if The way I took it was we're all just going to line up and play Madden, I guess.
Hey, you know what? That's what I'm thinking about. Hey, why not? Huh?
Yeah. Which wouldn't be a bad idea. It's fun, but I don't know how that's going to help the recruiting of some of my kids. Maybe if they're going to go play, be a Madden player or something like that, it might help.
Well, I was going to say, they do have this esports thing now, Coach. So who knows? They could possibly get a scholarship that way.
Yeah, well, that might be the only option these days. I really hope that it's not. But
right.
I just kind of feel like I just pray. I mean, I do. I pray for everybody in the country. I pray for, the people who are suffering with this. And there's just a lot of things, that have gone on this last year that have just been, just demoralizing to everything. The economy, you name it. I'm going to be honest with you, Michael. You know this as well as I do. I mean, sports is our escape. Sports is the one thing that, as an American, especially in America, I mean, but it's true everywhere across the world. Sports is everybody's release. It's the thing that everybody wants to go do, and and it's your kids too. I mean, obviously you've got your players that want nothing more than to play right now. That's the most important thing it is to them. Not just the seniors, but I mean, obviously to them, but to everybody. It's just to get this season in and play, and try and knock this out. And have the best time and the best season that you possibly can under these circumstances. I'm really hoping that that's what the case will be. I'm really hoping that, and as long as we all support each other as far as, sharing information and, and how we're practicing and what we're doing if this, if such and such happens or such and such happens, I think we have a better shot to play. I'm not in competition with anybody right now. I want to play every opponent that I have on my schedule. I don't want any of them to get COVID or whatever the case might be and possibly not be able to play that game. So, I'm going to do everything that I can do to help those other programs. And I hope that they'd be willing to do the same thing for us. Ensure, just to make sure that, we have the best chance to play each other. And I think that's kind of the attitude that all of us as coaches have kind of developed.
Right. I 1,000% agree with you, but it's unfortunate that we've allowed the virus to literally split the nation when we're talking about the athletic piece. We know the world is under attack and under siege with this thing, but we've turned it into a political tug of war, and I can't think of anyone. I've been involved with athletics since I could walk, and I know the integral structure and peace that it brings socially, economically, emotionally, and all the moving parts that are associated with it. And we broadcast games. We interview coaches. It's a part of our DNA, if you would. And being a former athlete, former coach, know the entire importance and structure of it. And it's just a shame that we've gotten into a political tug of war. But with all that being said, I think we're at our wits' end when it comes to COVID, because that's going to be the true culprit to let us know when it's going to be safe to play. When there's a cure, a vaccine, whether people mask, unmask, in-person learning, distance learning, we have to be socially responsible for one another. And I think some of the approach, the ideal that you have setting up the classes is brilliant, actually, and wishing and hoping that, if not some of the larger schools, it's kind of hard to do that with 2,200 students in a high school or a 5A, 6A division, but some of those smaller divisions could properly incorporate that. Not even aware if they're even trying to do such a thing. But whenever the dust does settle and our eyes, fingers, toes, and everything else that can be crossed is crossed, that we have some athletics, because, as you mentioned, it is a social relief, a getaway. It's a neutralize, if you would, because for those 2 to 3 hours that you're out there, whether you're competing or watching a game of competition, Coach, it doesn't matter if I'm black, white, rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, Baptist, Catholic. All that matters is that my team is winning. And if my team is coming out on top. And That's the beauty of athletics. That's the beauty of sports, and it's the beauty of why we do what we do.
Michael, honest to God, I mean, think about it. That is exactly what we need, too, right now. We need that. Everybody needs that because, I mean, the unbelievable stress that everybody is under because of this, we got to have that, just that one, at least for a while, especially for, like we said, like you were talking about. I mean, that is the key. I mean, that you want to talk about getting back to something that's a little bit normal, at least having that sport, just having those sports would make such a big difference in our athletes' lives and in all of our lives, really. Because at least then we would be making a positive step in the right direction, not letting this virus beat us.
Right. And when we say letting the virus beat us, it's almost like a catch-22, because when I'm hearing, and why I love high school level of sports, because from my vantage point, it's purely for the love and competition of the game. And data has shown time after time, some of your smaller communities, which, for lack of a better word, have been somewhat insulated, not totally insulated, but your larger cities have been stricken by this in more ways than the normal small town USA. And let me just put it on a scale that makes sense to those that may be listening. Right now, if you're in UIL, 1A through 3A, small enough towns, small enough communities that you might be able to get this off. But if the truth be told, on the larger scale, this thing is being driven and controlled by the economical piece. Would you agree with that, Coach?
Oh, I would. And I think, you're going to have people that are going to talk about the fact that, we're pushing to play these seasons for that too. Well, on the college level, I wouldn't disagree, because certainly at the college level, that income is critical to many of these universities. And if they don't have it, there's a good chance that a lot of them have to close their doors or raise tuition, which is already high as it is. At the high school level, like you said, there's the purity of the game that's involved at the high school level. I mean, whether you play football or not at high school certainly affects your other athletic programs. It doesn't really make or break the bank of whether that high school can stay open or not, because they certainly are going to be able to do that. However, the quality of life of a student, I think, is jeopardized when those extracurricular. I mean, we're not just talking about football. I mean, certainly that is a cornerstone right now because that is the talk. But you're also talking about band and drill teams and cheerleaders, and all of these associate programs that rely on things like football season, because that's their, that marching band season. You don't march at a, you don't just randomly march at some field. You're marching on a football field, at halftime of a football game. And if there's no football game, probably not going to be any marching band either.
Right.
And so I think it's just that trickle down effect that's going to affect a lot of students. Not just your 50 or 60 football players. You're also talking about, your 300 plus band members for some schools, or even bigger than that. And then your big flag corps and your drill teams and cheerleaders and all of those groups that just none of those students would get to participate. And I think that would be the true tragedy in all of this, because, that's especially considering that, giving up about 4 or 5 months of you're sitting in the house, and now you may have that opportunity to come out and, and kids especially, I mean, adults too, we need it. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I need it. I can't imagine what life would be without football season. Or I don't even want to. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to speak good things, visions of gumdrops and chocolate fountains and things of that nature. We won't think the worst case scenario, because it's been rough enough on all of us. I joked just a moment ago, but it's been rough psychologically on all of us. And the sooner we can get this behind us, the better off we'll all be. And I can tell you this, Coach, rain, sleet, snow, or shine, that as long as the Rosehill Christian Eagles are out there competing, the Open Mic Broadcast Network plans to be there with you guys to help continue to tell your story. And we truly thank you all for the opportunity of partnering up with you. And we look forward to many, many more broadcasts in the near future, man.
Yes, sir. So do I. So do I. Kickoff is right around the corner. So just praying that we get there.
Yes,
once
sir.
we get there, we can take care of the rest. But let's just get there,
Let's get there and get there safe and sound and in
yes,
one harmonious peace. How does that sound?
That sounds like a plan.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach,
plan.
we're going to give you some closing thoughts and comments real quickly, and then we'll shut today's segment down.
A couple of things I just would like to say. I just would like to encourage everybody that's out there and listening. That look, there's a lot of people working towards trying to get to this sense of normalcy. And I just really encourage all these athletes and so on, and especially your high school age athletes that are coming out to play. And just continue to work hard, continue to work hard, continue to be positive. I'm real excited for football, our football season this year. I think our kids are. I told you before about us having the biggest team in Rosehill history. This is the most number of kids that we've ever had on our football squad. So I'm real excited about that. And I'm praying for this season just like everybody else, praying to be able to get these guys out and show what they got. And I think that's a big thing. I think all of us as coaches are united under that front because it really is. It's about the kids, And I know what good a good football season could do, not only for the kids, for your faculties and staffs, just for the country in general. Just to give you a break. And so all of this stuff is just pounding you every day, and hopefully be able to turn on the radio and listen to the broadcast of the Eagles, and just listen to that on Friday night, man. And whoa, wow! I mean, at least you get to relax and watch, and get to hear what's going on, And heck, sometimes I think right now that might be the best thing. So I just pray for everybody in the country, and I pray for you guys, Michael. Thank you for the opportunity to share our story with you and to come and partner alongside and just talk about this great game of football and what it does for these young men as they get older and advance. It's really something special, And I just pray for the rest of the country that we all get to play, and they get to experience that this year, and hopefully maybe in a couple weeks, a month or whatever, this thing may be going away, man. I just pray that happens. We could definitely use a miracle where that thing gets sucked up in some kind of black hole and it's all the way gone, But I'd like to say that and encourage everybody to come out on Friday night, come out and enjoy it, because if we're going to have it and putting in the work, and we're doing it for everybody that's involved. So, the more the merrier, and that's going to look different too. Once those fans start coming out, I have no idea how that's going to work and how you're going to sit them. But we got a big old track. So we got to line people in lawn chairs around the track so that they can enjoy the football game on Friday night and so on. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. And in the event they can't make it, they can always listen to the Open Mic Broadcast Network on Friday Night Lives, and we'll have it live in living color, and then those that miss it can get it on the rebroadcast. He is Coach Dennis Krantz of the Rosehill Christian Eagles, ready, hopefully, to get off for the 2020 football campaign. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, thanking you guys so much for joining in with us on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline with our football talk of the day. I am to the point where I must exit stage left. My time is far spent right now. But as always, we thank you guys so much for joining in with us. Don't forget our social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are all at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is what we really need you guys to subscribe to, is Open Mic Broadcast Network. And until the next time, you guys be blessed. We'll see you on the other side.